Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on my channel. So as you guys have known, I've asked what kind of video do you guys want to see next on the channel. So I came out with the results of the poll by popular demand. You guys want a unit analysis series. So today we are going to start off with this guy right here, which is Cain. Right, so Cain is the Valiant, one of the Valiants of Aratos. Right, Aratos is the so-called world for Valiant Force. Okay, so a little background can be found in his profile page. So it says Cain is a well-known in Aratos for his quick wits and unmatched skill with ranged weaponry. He assisted the house of Alexander during the war against invading barbaric tribes. With only 100 men under his command, Cain trained them into fearless hunters and held the outpost against thousands of barbarians. Holy shit, this guy is a badass. So this achievement led him to be bestowed with the title of Valiant. So guys, this is why this guy became a Valiant, because he's a hero. Alright, so these days Cain continues to keep the peace of Aratos along with fellow Valiant Kiara. Alright, so you guys maybe know this name Kiara. She's another Valiant, which we are gonna cover in another video. So today is all about Cain. Right, so moving on to this badass right here. Alright, so people have been wondering and asking, hey, I just got a Cain. What is the best class for this guy? Well, this video is gonna help you to understand better the different classes of what Cain has to offer. Alright, so starting off, we are just going to move into the 5-star potential of this character right here. So in this case, right, he has 4 classes that he can go in 5-star, which is Grand Ranger, Rio Huntsman, Gunslinger, and Sharpshooter. Alright, so we're gonna go in depth in every class that he can go into at 5-star, starting with the Grand Ranger. Alright, so the Grand Ranger, his skill is Impact Breaker. Alright, the cooldown for this skill is 6 turns. What it does is it will stun the enemy. Alright, it will deal magic damage to the enemy according to the hero's attack. Alright, the percentile of the attack will determine through how much you train the unit, which is like +1, +2. In this case, the +2 is 195%. And he also will knock back the enemy back by 1 tile. So basically he stuns and knocks back the enemy. Alright, so the most important thing is the aura. Alright, so the aura is when he lands a critical attack, there is a 95% chance that it will trigger the rest of the units on the side. Alright, so at 5-star you get 3 tiles in on your aura. So 3 other units have a chance to stun an enemy for 1 turn and also to trigger an additional attack. Alright, so these 2 aura skills actually synergize together, because you need to attack to stun, right? You can't just stun the unit like that. Right, so for the Grand Ranger, my opinion is he is the best class for Cain. Alright, in this context where he will be able to trigger the other people to land stuns on the monsters. So basically this guy is my personal favorite, but it's also subjective of the situations that you can put him into. So followed by the Rio Huntsman. Alright, we'll go into this one. Okay, so Rio Huntsman, his skill is increase this hero's attack by 25% to the hero's crit for 3 turns. Misdirect, right, which is putting the attention on another hero for 3 turns, does not work in arena, guys. Do take note of this. And returns all damage taken, alright, 40% of all damage taken by ally for 3 turns. So basically he's putting a taunt effect and also a misdirection on the targeted unit. Okay, so by looking at this, the first thing that comes in mind is this guy is a 100% PvE, player versus environment corrector. Okay, just solely by the skill you can see this guy is not suitable for arena at all. So in the aura it says 30% chance to trigger this hero to attack 85% of the attack. So basically this guy only triggers himself. Oh wait, the aura, the people in the aura to attack with 30% chance. So that is pretty low in my opinion. So which which situation could you use this Rio Huntsman in? Basically, if you are doing PvE and you have a holy defender or a paladin, you'll be able to misdirect Kane's skill onto the holy defender or paladin. So the rest of the monsters would simply just attack the tank, and at the same time it will inflict damage back to them because of the taunt effect that this guy gives. Alright, so following on to the next class, it will be the Gunslinger right here. So the Gunslinger basically he deals damage and he stuns. So why what's the difference, you may ask, between the Gunslinger and the Grand Ranger? It's because of the cooldown of the skill, which is 4 turns, as you can see. So this has a lower cooldown compared to the Grand Ranger of, let's see, 6 turns. So there's a 2 turn difference, and the difference as well is this unit does not knock back. It simply just stun and deals damage. So for the aura, alright, 40% chance to trigger others in the aura to attack with 85% of their attack. So basically it's almost the same as the previous 2 classes where you trigger others to attack, right? So basically this guy would synergize very well with another archer or another range hero, like for example Kane, Grand Ranger. If both of them are together, they can actually trigger each other left and right, right? So 95% chance, and the other one is 40% chance. So for example, if this guy triggers, you trigger Kane. If Grand Ranger Kane triggers, this guy will get triggered as well. So they will complement each other in a way, and what's important is both of them are able to stun. So if you choose the Gunslinger, in my opinion, you are directly looking for a low cooldown and a stunner. Alright, so to prioritize this, I would say is if you are confident that you have another hero that can so-called keep triggering a CC effect, a crowd control effect, then you would go for a Kane Gunslinger. If not, you would want to focus on getting a core trigger CC hero first. Alright, so that being said, Kane Gunslinger is the number 2 choice in my opinion for the utility that he has and the low cooldown. Alright, so we'll move on to the last class, which is Sharpshooter. Sharpshooter is a very heavy DPS class. Alright, damage per second. Why do I say that? Look at the skill itself. At +2, it deals 230% of the hero's attack, and also increases himself 25% attack of his crit for 3 turns. So can you imagine how much damage this guy can do? This is a pure DPS character, and for the aura it's different from the rest of them, where their attack is increased by 10% of his crit. So basically this character right here, right, he's very reliant on critical and also his attack. He's basically a glass cannon, guys. Alright, so moving on to this, how do I rank these 4 classes? Alright, it's very simple. Number 1, I would say it's the Grand Ranger because of his utility. Alright, to me, Utility is very crucial, especially in PvE, because if the boss manages to hit your team a lot of times, you'll most likely get wiped anyway. So in this case, the Grand Ranger Cain, alright, his aura is one of the best in the game, where he can trigger the rest of the heroes no matter whether they are melee, they are range. There is a 95% chance that they'll be able to trigger a stun. So if you're interested in looking at how the Grand Ranger actually works, you can look at the rest of my PvE videos, like my Legendary Capital or my Legendary 24-3 quest clear. You'll be able to see Cain at work. Alright, so Cain is at Grand Ranger is the best in my opinion in ranking, and followed by the Gunslinger, alright, because of the utility as well. As you can see, his skill is very low in cooldown and he'll be able to stun the enemy at the same time. So can you imagine, if you attack with your team and then suddenly the monster doesn't get stunned? So this Cain will be able to fill in the gap and just use his skill and stun the enemy, for 2 turns. You just buy yourself more time, right? At the same time, at the aura, right, you'll be able to trigger the other people to attack as well, especially if you put a Grand Ranger Cain right beside him. If he triggers the Grand Ranger Cain, there's another chance that it will stun with the people around him. Alright, in this case, him and another 2 more heroes. Right, so the third one in line is obviously Sharpshooter Cain. Because of his massive DPS, I would say you would want to get this guy to Sharpshooter when you have both of the utility Cains, right, which is the Gunslinger or the Grand Ranger. Then you would want to consider getting the third Cain to Sharpshooter, right? So if 3 of them are synergized together, oh my goodness, you will see an amazing fireworks of damage and stuns. Alright, so Sharpshooter will definitely be third on my list, and because of his massive attack, I think he has one of the most heavy damage in range heroes. Alright, for single attack, definitely Cain Sharpshooter is a bucket list kind of thing. So for Rio Huntsman, why is it last? Because it's solely PvE. All it does is just redirect someone to receive all the damage and also put a taunt effect. And the aura actually has a low chance for it to proc. Alright, so in my opinion, this guy is on the last of the list out of these 4. So let me recap: Grand Ranger, Gunslinger, Sharpshooter, and then Rio Huntsman. Alright, so this is the introduction of Cain. If you have a feedback on how much more you want to know about a hero on a video, please let me know in the comments below. If not, thank you guys for watching. This is my first attempt on a unit analysis. Please do not be too brutal with me with the the feedback. I hope you guys forgive me and give me the benefit of the doubt. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember to like, subscribe to the channel and this video. I'll see you guys next video. Take care, have fun, and good luck with your summons. Peace out. Bye bye.